Hello again, this is Robert Veach here, and this is my video review of a radio-controlled airplane almost ready to fly called the Air Camper or the Pietenpol. It's sold exclusively by Hobby King, and it's a unique airplane. It's designed after a home-built airplane that was designed and built in the 1920s. Still being built today by people and flies really great. I've made several modifications to it to get it to work for my flying style and my flying field, and I'm going to go over all those different changes. I also am going to have a list of the components that I used because I'm using a 4-cell Admiral battery, and they recommend a 3-cell. This is a 4-cell 35C2200 Admiral. He is one of the best batteries I've ever used, and I've been using Lipo batteries for 20 years right now. So the first thing you'll notice, I'm going to do a close-up. But before I do that, let's take a look at the box. I have an extra one right here. This is the box it is mailed in, and this box is within another box to protect it. So this is what it comes with in a protected box, and you can see that it's all very nicely packed and very nicely built. This is probably the most precision airplane, ARF, all balsa and ply plane that I've ever built. It's very nicely built. Now it has some issues, and I'm going to go over those issues with you right now. The first issue I had is with the landing gear. Now the landing gear itself is a nice design. They have it all soldered or welded, but the position of it is too close to the balance point. If I looked at the scale drawings of the plane, and the plane was tipping constantly, even in extremely short grass, even on asphalt. So what I ended up doing is I moved the landing gear forward. I wanted to show a close-up of the landing gear modification. There's a bend right here, and I straightened that bend, heated it up with a torch, and then soldered on this brass piece right here. These nylon bushings, I ground down a shape to match this so that this can move quite easily. And then I put a offset right here made out of balsa wood and ply that this front piece sits in, so that when you land, it pushes against that back plate. But if you land really hard, the wheels flex and it pulls against the spring. Very effective and simple, and by doing this bend right here and straightening, the landing gear is moved 2 inches forward, and it's actually lifted, which gives you more prop clearance, so it's a double win. And now with this modification, it doesn't flip even in thick grass, and takeoffs are quite easy with it now. The battery that I showed is mounted all the way forward. You can actually see the battery box right there, and there's a plywood battery box, and then I added this air scoop right here to increase the flow over the battery. Now the reason why the battery had to be so far forward is to get the balance point. What they suggest is correct, but it's pretty far forward. It's not at the 1/3 point, so follow the balance point because that is correct. And as I mentioned, the wheels are nice quality, and put a bushing on their plastic. You can put them as far out as you can, and also glue the inside with thin instant glue and the outside, because they will come apart in the landing. Another thing that I modified is on the bottom, is on the wing support. I didn't feel that the wing support that they used was strong enough, the aluminum, and I didn't want to bolt the wing to that. So what I did is I put plywood and made a nice base. Here's a close-up view of the plywood pieces that I added to the aluminum struts that it comes with, and this allows me to use the dowels and to hold it on with rubber bands. Well worth doing for crash resistance of the plane. I want to mention something about the ailerons. I have mechanical differentiation right here, by putting the servo on a 45 degree away from the control horn. What happens is the aileron moves up more than it moves down, and the manual has the throws and they are correct. So you want to do that so that there's less induced drag in a turn. That's an important thing to add. Another modification, in the manual they tell you to just poke the control rod through the covering, and that's kind of cheesy because there's no support for it, and it would just break the material over time. So I just put a little piece of thin plastic on there from a notebook holder and melted a little hole at 45 degrees, and that gives it a nice exit. In terms of throws, I kept the throws to the max of what they said in the manual, and I increased the elevator throw about 40% more than what they said for the max, because it wasn't sensitive enough for what I like. So I'm going to give a parts list, or a list of what I use, because I'm using also a folding propeller. I like to use those because it makes the motor not get damaged if you crash or land hard. And I'm using aeronaut propellers and aeronaut centerpieces. And this is a different motor than they specify. And again, I'm using a 4-cell battery. So what's my overall opinion about this Pietenpol Hobby King Air Camper? Well, I think this is a really accurately built airplane. Like I mentioned, it's the most accurate plane I built. In fact, I just test flew it 2 days ago, and there was no trim required on anything. If you follow that balance and those throws, increase the elevator 40%, this plane flies straight and perfect. So if you move that landing gear forward 2 inches, and it's up to you if you want to make it rubber band held on the wing, I'd recommend that. But this plane flies beautifully, and it really doesn't stall hardly at all. I tried to stall it, so there's no real bad flying characteristics of it, no crazy tip stalls or anything like that. So I'm going to give this product a full 4-star rating on my channel. I'd give it 5 stars if it wasn't for the landing gear being put in the wrong place. I also think they would need to strengthen the supports for the wing. So this is a great product, and I hope my video review helped you with your buying decisions. Thanks for watching.